Welcome to Talking Tuesday, a
Hello.
newly weekly segment where we talk about whatever the fuck we want. Drive around GTA, walk around Gary's mod, walk around Battlefield, do whatever the hell we want, talk about whatever the hell we want. So, yeah, sit back and enjoy your stay. We got the Nemo Killer here,
What's up?
and we also got Cracking Skulls Nico.
Yo, yo, yo.
So, let's do this.
Alright. So I guess we can go ahead and start off with something I saw earlier. I just watched a documentary about like free climbing and mountain climbing and stuff. And coincidentally, I saw this major avalanche that happened on Mount Everest. Read into it for a little bit. So far, they are saying about 16 people were killed, and a couple other people are still missing. They don't know, if they're, stuck, dead, stranded, or they don't really know what's going on. But they're now saying, they should find, different routes up the mountain, or if they should stop, letting people hike it. I mean, I think it's like $40,000 to hike up Mount Everest.
Yeah, you gotta pay
Wow.
the Sherpas and all that shit.
40 grand to hike. I mean, I've been up Mount Everest. That's, that's some wicked sweet street cred, but you can buy so much with 40 grand right now. I mean,
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Fuck that. That's too much climbing.
I mean, one of the guys on the documentary I saw, he is a former astronaut, and not only is he's been in space, he's also now been to the top of Mount Everest. So he now has some mass street creds. Hey, I was in space on the International Space Station, and I was on top of the world. So that's one little.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one.
Not
little
many
thing.
people can say that.
That's one little bit I was reading up on. Hopefully they find the other survivors and all that good stuff. But it's kind of hard to get a helicopter up that high to save people.
Yeah. You understand there's a red light there, right?
My bad. Oh, wait, we can go now. Hey, you didn't have your blinker on, sir.
No, I did not. Whose idea was it in the first place to be like, let's do that tall ass mountain. Let's climb that thing.
I mean, you got to see the first people who did it. They did not have air tanks and oxygen. I mean, not that I know of. I mean,
I don't know.
I did see.
That would
Go ahead.
That'd just be like stupid. Let's go somewhere where we can barely breathe as humans. Plants, do they grow? Fuck no. They know better. They know it's cold as fuck. There ain't no fucking oxygen up there. And animals? Fuck no. You know why they can't get helicopters up there, right? Because
Smart.
the air is too thin.
I mean, that's
Let's go somewhere where we're gonna fucking die.
pretty much. And
Let's do it.
And they have hundreds of people who have died on the mountain, and they can't get them. So they actually use their dead bodies they stay perfectly preserved due to the below freezing temperatures as landmarks to know which way they're going. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's dead Bob with his green boots. Turn right. Like,
Excuse me, can I get directions to the top of Mount Everest? Yeah, you see Sally, continue straight for 5 miles.
Follow the
When you
dead
get
bodies.
to Dave, take a left. When you find Mary...
like, I mean, I understand. If a guy breaks his leg, they say, and they can't get him down, they leave him to die. They give him some food, some oxygen, and wish him good luck. Like,
Yeah.
if I break my leg, I'm sorry. I'm gonna break every other bone and just penguin slide down that bitch until I hit rock bottom. Good idea? Absolutely not. Do I have a chance of living? Probably not, but it's better than freezing my ass. I'd rather freeze in a place where they can at least bring my body down instead of freeze on a mountain where they're gonna be like, oh, there's the Nimukilla, let's go ahead and, you know, turn left.
What? Now they have ropes and ladders stationed there to where you can actually friggin'
Yeah.
safely navigate.
Have you seen
Can
the
you
ladders?
imagine going up? Yeah, they're shitty.
Fucking rickety ladders they got from Home Depot or whatever the
Walmart.
Yeah, wherever the
Dollar
shrink-
Tree.
like fucking step stools, and that's what they use to cross ravines and ice cliffs to, you know, where, you know, Johnson Rivar died.
That'd just be like stupid. Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine being stuck in a crevasse? That would suck.
I mean, 'cause you can't do anything, and like the other thing is, you know, it's the largest mountain in the world, and now it's being littered with trash and everything because all these tourists, you know, paying all this money, and they're just leaving their trash, and I mean, on top of the, you know, literally the dead bodies and stuff. But I mean, like you said earlier, if plants and animals can't live up there, why the fuck would you want to go up there and be like, hey, no one else, you know, nothing can live up here. Let me go up it.
Yeah.
And then take pictures.
You have a better chance in the ocean.
Yeah, like who's the director of like the Titanic and Avatar? He did a documentary of going to 7 miles deep in the ocean, like the deepest place you can go in the ocean, which is 7 miles down. And he handcrafted him and this team of hundreds of people this little ass submarine, a one-seater, and it literally just had weights and it just went straight down. And he got to the bottom, and he was like, "Oh, cool! I found a jellyfish and I found a crab. Oh, I've been down here for 6 hours. Let me go back up." Like, yeah, okay, you found some species, but I mean, I'd rather be down there than. I mean, I'd rather, you know, I'm happy at, you know, at sea level. With,
No. I couldn't be in a submarine. I'm too sane for that.
And it was, I mean, if you see the submarine, it's like plexiglass and plastic and like all this stuff. Like, it's not, I mean, it's high tech for what it is, but it is not something I would climb in by myself that a team of, you know, a whole bunch of rich snobby kids from, you know, Yale built. And be like, you know what, I'm gonna go 7 miles down into a trench and be like, oh, I've now been the deepest place in the world. It's the deepest place you've been to. But I mean, there's other ravines he could have went down, but he went down this one, and I mean, he found new species and all this stuff. But I mean, I don't see myself going, you know, however high Mount Everest is or however deep that. I mean, the highest I've been, I think, is Mount Washington in New Hampshire. That's the highest mountain in the continental U.S. and I believe. And then, I mean, like Empire State Building, I've been up that. Threw a penny down. Apparently that's a federal offense, but I mean, I was a kid, I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I would do it. I've been to the top of, what fucking building was it? It was in friggin' Illinois somewhere, Chicago area.
Chicago.
Whenever I graduated boot camp, me and my families, we've been up to that fucking, one of them towers. It was pretty cool. Nothing exciting. We went to the top of the Seattle Space Needle, that was kinda cool.
Ooh, I've always wanted
Sat
to do
up
that.
there, ate dinner. It's pretty cool because of friggin' where you eat, it actually just spins around in a circle and you can just stare at different shit as you eat.
Oh, that's actually kind of. Like, does it spin quickly or is it like a slow spinning?
No, it's slow. Like, if you, like, put your foot on where it spins and where it doesn't spin, you can't really tell.
Oh. So I'm sure by the time you are,
Well, after, like, 35 seconds you'll be able to tell, but
so after you're
it's
done
not
with
like
the meal, you've
fucking-
probably, what, gone halfway around?
no, I think it's like a time and a half.
Oh, okay.
The service is slow because it's more of a sit down, enjoy your food type place, not fucking steak and shake it, get in and get the fuck out.
You just flipped the car like 13 times.
Indeed, like a boss.
Alright, so what else?
Oh, almost made it up there. Have you ever been to Alaska?
I have not. My dad lived in Alaska. His dad, my grandfather, was a Master Chief on an icebreaker for the Coast Guard, and he lived. I believe he was stationed at Anchorage. I believe, or that's where they lived at least. And
Yeah.
my dad, grew up as a kid there. He loved it. Then he retired out of the Coast Guard. He decided, I want to move to Florida because he's smart. So they moved here, and all that shenanigans happened, and then my parents met. We moved to New Hampshire, and that's, oh my god, I just threw my phone across the room. I don't need it. I just catapulted it.
Oops.
So, living in New Hampshire was pretty neat because you get all the seasons, and you learn all the fun. I mean, that's where I learned to drive. So I mean, you get any Florida driver, someone from Florida, and have them drive from daytime into dead rain, and either they panic, they ride their brakes, or it's just flat out it's not raining. They just drive like an idiot. And up north,
What's wrong with that? Put some rain next on your windshield and just go.
that's the thing. That's what everybody does, and it's, I don't know how many times I'll be driving on the interstate, and I mean, when I was actually leaving your house, coming back, the last time I went to and visited you, I was driving back, and about a mile up the road, I just see this big poof of smoke, and it was still sprinkling, your wipers on low, and I get up, and 3 cars all hit each other, and there were so many wrecks back and forth on the road. There were so many wrecks. A police officer was already there, and an ambulance was already there. The ambulance stopped because he was on his way to another wreck. And the guy in the front, it was dead traffic, so I had my windows down just a bit. I could hear the guy talking. He's like, oh, I saw an ambulance coming, so I went to pull over. And the officer, I mean, this how slow the traffic was. I could hear the conversation. The guy stopped because he saw the ambulance, so he thought, this guy's not from Florida, to say. He stopped because he thought that's what you're supposed to do. Dead stop in the middle of the interstate. Car behind him was texting. She didn't see him. Plowed into him. She was in some Pontiac 4-door. Guy behind her got mad that the guy in front of him came to a complete stop. He wasn't paying attention and plowed in the back of her. And I mean, there's radiator fluid everywhere. The steam was going everywhere. And I was just like, you all just admitted to being complete and utter fucking retards. And like, in front of the cop. I mean, the cop's sitting right there just shaking his head. And it's dead stop traffic because everybody wants to see, hey, there's an accident. Let me see if anybody's dead. But I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I see something, I slow down too.
Yeah.
But I make up for it. It's like, oh, let me slow down, and then there's no one in front of me. I just drop down to second. You see the cop like, oh, she got. No, I'm not gonna go. Really? Why is it always?
Have you ever been in a bad car crash?
My worst, I would have to say, I was younger. My mom was driving down a wet bridge in Stewart, and it was, it was fairly wet, and she wasn't paying attention. This is, before texting and all that fun stuff, and she had, probably about 200 feet, just locked her brakes, just all the way down the bridge, smashed into the back of this guy, and I was in the middle of this old van, and it just had the, the gut seatbelt, just right across your gut, and
yeah,
I was holding something, and we hit the car in front of us, I slammed forward, whatever I was holding, smashed my, my little kid nuts, and I think that was the day they dropped, because, I don't even think I was old enough for them to be there. And, I started screaming and crying. She thought I got hurt, so, they called paramedics, and they're like, what's wrong? I was like, my balls are smashed. So then the paramedics started laughing. They're like, all right, let's get some ice. And, they I think that was the first time, female put ice on me. And, I mean, that's probably...
Thanks for mom.
Yeah, and that's probably my worst one. I've never been in anything worse than... I mean, I took a lady's door off. She was in a Lexus, but that was her fault.
shit happens. She deserves it.
My insurance went
Whenever I,
my insurance went down $10 and hers went up 100.
That's awesome.
For me, it
Whenever I
was.
lived in Washington State, it was wintertime. I was working nights in security, and I'm like, I'm gonna go out, explore the area. That's whenever Chrissy was down in Costa Rica visiting family and stuff. So she was down there doing that thing. I was up here, bored out of my mind. Had some roommates. They were dumb, boring people, whatever. And like, I'm gonna go out. Mind you, it's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going out to the Olympic National Forest. I'm like, let me go check this place out, see how far away it is and stuff like that, so whenever she gets back, we can go do something. So I'm out there. Right now it's probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Getting pretty early, pretty cold, middle of winter. Going across this bridge, I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to turn right up here. So I turned, and I kept going straight because of the ice. I'm like, oh, lovely, it's cold. So I got out, took a piss, then turned around, and started heading back. Coming across that bridge again, I just went over it doing 50, no problem.
Yeah.
This time I'm doing like 45, because I realize it's cold and there's ice. And all of a sudden, the friggin' ass end starts to come around. And I overcorrect, hit a dry spot, and then hit a fucking cement wall, doing 50 head on, and friggin' rattled the hell out of me. And there's a car coming, so I get out, check out the car, make sure it's okay. Had some coolant on the ground, nothing major, broken headlight, and I get back in the car, starts up just fine. Airbag warning lights going crazy. It's I'm like, oh fuck. So I started driving, turned the heater on because it was already on. And driving, I'm like, oh, there's a gas station right up here. Let me go over here, call my fucking roommate, because conveniently, my friggin' phone didn't work. Because my BlackBerry sucked. Giant BlackBerry balls. And so I can't call nobody. So I go to this gas station. They're friggin' closed. So I'm driving back towards the house. Mind you, I'm like an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes away from where I live. And going up these windy roads, hilly roads, and temperature's starting to climb in the car. I'm like, oh, this ain't good. I'm like, yeah, I'm almost there. And so I continue to drive, not thinking nothing of it. Well, not really not thinking nothing of it, just keeping it in my mind that the car's overheating.
So wait, the whole time you're still the whole time you're still trying to drive, your car's smashed.
It wasn't smashed. It looked more like this. I'll show you. Like, I hit the wall doing 50, but because it was ice, and I was sliding, it wasn't like a direct impact, so to say. It's more like an impact, and the ass end kept going, so I kind of just like bounced off of it, I guess you could say. And nonetheless, it fucking rattled me. The airbag warning lights going off, fucking all that jazz. So I'm headed back home, and I get to this red light. I'm like, I think I gotta turn left here. So I turn left, and going the right way, thankfully. I passed the airport, Bremerton, I think it was. It was in Port Orchard, and it was a not super steep hill. But temperature was getting hot. It was like around fucking 240, and going up this hill, I'm like, oh, the car's not going much faster anymore as I give it gas. That ain't cool. So I get off the gas, get back in it. Nothing special. I'm like, this ain't good. So, coming down the next hill, I see headlights. Mind you, it's probably close to 5 o'clock now. I see headlights coming over the crest of the hill. So I hurry up, pull over, throw the bitch in park, get out, start jumping in the middle of the road trying to get this person's attention. Thankfully, they stopped and didn't hit me. I'm like, hey, can you give me a ride home? I just crashed my car and it's cold as fuck. I ain't walking. The lady's like, okay. She went, turned around, came back, and I get in the car. She's like, don't try nothing silly. I look at her like, what do you mean? And she pulled out the fucking 45.
Oh God.
I'm like, okay, no problem. I will not do nothing. So we get back to my house, and my roommate is like, damn, where were you at? I'm like, I crashed the car down the street. I friggin' pulled over. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're fucking with me, right? I'm like, no, go look. There's a car in the driveway. So she goes out, looks. She's like, where's the car? I'm like, I told you, I crashed it. She's like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, yes. We went on like back and forth for like 10-15 minutes of me, did I really crash the car or not? I'm like, yeah, here, watch, I'll even call a tow truck. So I call a tow truck. They send somebody out the next morning, get the car, bring it back and all that. And they drop it off, get a hold of the insurance company and all that stuff. The insurance company takes probably about a month and a half to get back. Yeah. And then they finally send somebody out, and he's looking at the car. He's like, it looks like it's just cosmetic damage. By now, I've already taken a look at the car and all that stuff. I'm like, no, it's more than cosmetic damage. I'm like, try to start the car. He's like, oh, the battery's dead. I'm like, okay. And the battery wasn't dead either. I'm like, look at the body lines right here. The driver's side to the front, to the A-pillar, to the door right there, it wasn't a huge gap. It was like less than a 1/4 inch gap. And then on the passenger side, it also had a gap, but it was like on the driver's side it was to the right, and on the passenger side it was to the right, like the friggin' frame shifted or the body shifted. I'm like, look at this, it's obviously got some structural damage here. He's like, no, we'll just friggin' get the cosmetic stuff fixed, blah blah blah. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Wow.
I ain't paying for it anyways. So, well, just a deductible. I had the car for maybe 3 months before this too, so it was a brand new car to me. And so, get the car to a dealership. They're taking a look at it. They're like, you know the engine's blown, right? I'm like, I figured it was. I'm like, how bad is it? He's like, well, cylinder 3 piston is seized to the wall. Cylinder 4, the rod is gone. I'm like, oh, so it's yeah. I'm like, I'm fucked. He's like, yeah. He's like, I tell you what, I know a junkyard. They got this engine in here. I guarantee they got this engine here because we just worked on the car. They didn't want to fix it, so we threw it at the junkyard. I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I get in touch with the junkyard, end up paying, I think it was like $500 for a new engine. Had less miles on it than the one I had in it. Fuck yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
So instead of paying the outrageous dealer prices of having them put the engine in, there's a guy there that did work at his house. So he he had the car towed to his house, had the engine shipped to his house from the junkyard, and I ended up paying $500 for the engine, and I think it was like $1,500 for the install of the motor.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all. So finally get the motor in there. Wait, I had to pay for that? Yeah, because whenever the dealership went to the insurance company and said, hey, the engine's blown, we need you guys to friggin' authorize this. They're like, oh no, that was after the accident, we're not covering that.
What?
So the dealership says, hey, call the insurance company. So I call the insurance company and they're like, yeah, we're not going to cover that, that was after the accident. I'm like, so I have full coverage, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so if I fuck up, it doesn't matter, I still gotta pay to get the car fixed? They're like, yeah. I'm like, Oh, okay. I see how you guys work.
Wow.
So, whatever. Paid for the engine, got that shit taken care of. Get the car back to the dealership, and they're doing their shit, and they're like, "Oh, the chassis damaged. The chassis bent." I'm like, "I figured it was." And Sean was the guy's name, I do believe. And me and him were talking about that when the car first got there.
Mhm.
And so he called the insurance company and said, "Hey, we can put the chassis on a jig, but it ain't going to be the same. Or you can total the car out." So the insurance company ended up totaling out the car. I still owed, I think it was 35 grand on the car. They paid for all of it except like 5 grand. But I had the gap insurance shit.
Mhm.
That covered the difference. Thankfully, I opted for that. That took care of the difference, so I ended up walking away with that car with just paying for an engine and the install of that. Yeah.
Not too bad.
No?
Besides all the shit you had to go through.
Yeah, Chrissy was pissed, dude.
What
She
car was
didn't
it?
talk to me for about a week. It was a 2010... No. It was a 2011 Chevy Cobalt. Brand new, fucking...
Oh.
Top of the line and everything. Fucking this and that and this and that. Yeah.
I can see why she'd be pissed.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it was legally my car, but technically it was her car. Because she's like, "Hey, I want a new car. Can you co-sign with me?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?"
I mean,
We were dating at the time.
and that's kind of how it is with because I have the Escape in my 300Z, and I mean I don't drive both, so Tanya she drives the Escape, so it's technically it's my car, but if she asks if anyone asks her, that is her car.
Yeah.
Alright, here we go. We're gonna fly under this tunnel. First try.
Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
I doubt it. There's too much traffic.
Nope.
You're gonna crash. You're gonna crash. You're too high. You're too low.
Okay, we're still in
Nailed
it.
it.
Oh my God. First person.
shit.
There we go. First person's way easier.
Yeah, except for you're hitting the wall.
Well, if I had help.
If you stay in this middle lane, you're good. Help for what? You want me to take over the control?
Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
My turn, get out.
Alright, I'll get out.
My turn.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I didn't jump out quick enough.
Oops. Have you ever been in any crazy car crashes there, Nico?
Not really. I mean, I hit somebody in a parking lot before.
Watch out for this guy.
How'd you pull that off?
That's about it. I was flying in the parking lot at about 30 miles an hour, and then I slammed on the brakes and turned, and I ran into somebody's vehicle.
What?
That's about the
I had a
extent
parked
of
car
that.
once.
Now see, I was in a parking lot when I took that lady's door off. I was in a parking lot. I was dead stop at a stop sign, but I was angled, and there was enough room. It was kind of an open parking lot, so it was kind of like a Russian parking lot. Wherever you can turn, go ahead and turn. This lady comes around in like
Yeah.
a 2012, 2013 Lexus SUV, and she's on her phone. So I saw her on her phone. I didn't see her until last second. So I'm at dead stop, and then here she comes around the corner, and then just decides to, just do her own thing and drive into me. And
Right.
as she does that, I'm at I can't do anything. So she hits me. I do nothing, and she gets down. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, "No," I was like, it's all right." Blah 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 blah. So I go ahead and I tell her, "Hey, let me move my car." And she's like, "Okay, well just don't, be careful." But before I even started that, she had already tried to leave before all this happened. So I go ahead and get back in my car, turn it on, and as I was like, only thing I can do is reverse and get off of her car. Well, there was like a 1960s like pristine Corvette Stingray parked right behind me, and he did the dumbass thing and pulled like 2 feet over the white line. So I had about 12 inches
Ooh.
and it was stuck to the point where I couldn't just tap in reverse. I had to like spin tires. So I'm spinning tires, turning my steering wheel left and right. Finally, it comes loose. Well, so does her door. Her back passenger door just popped right off. Well, like a suicide door, pretty much. So I kind of gave it a suicide door, I guess. And
Oops.
so I was like, okay, my bad, blah 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 blah. So she gets off work. The cop comes. He's a city cop, and I mean, this guy was fat, obese, just left Dunkin' Donuts, complete prick, and I mean, being an ass to both of us. And I was like, hey, she was on her phone, blah blah blah, and he goes, I don't know that, and I was like, she literally just got done telling you, she admitted to being on her phone. Like I was standing there, and she was, she said that in front of me and an officer. So he goes, no, that's not enough evidence for us. You're gonna be put at fault since you hit her. I was like, okay, whatever. And I was like, well, she didn't have a turn signal on, and I was like, this is private property, so there's really, it's no fault. And he goes, oh, you're gonna tell me the laws? And I was like, well, my dad's a deputy sheriff, and I kind of, I know my fair amount. So he's going on. So then he goes, well, if you're gonna give me an attitude, that's considered resisting. I'm gonna need to put you under arrest. I was like, are you kidding? I was like, for what? I was like, you have no reason. Like, you have nothing for that. So she was like, well, let me call. She was trying to call another deputy. So when he found out she was trying to call someone else, he was like, I'm just gonna give you a ticket, and you guys will be free to go. I was like, so what, you're not gonna arrest me anymore? I got cocky there. That pissed him off. But,
Yeah.
so about 2 weeks later, this lady came in to where I was working, where I hit her, and I didn't know it was her at first. She had gotten a haircut, and she was like, hey Montana, how are you? Like, I'm good. How are you? And she's like, oh good, my car got fixed. I was like, oh, you're the lady who hit me. And she's like, yeah, I am, blah 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 blah. So I was like, did you ever file a complaint, because he had slammed the car door closed on her when she was trying to get her information. So she had smashed her finger and fractured her finger because the cop slammed the car door. And she was like,
right.
She was like, I got a hold of the sergeant, blah blah blah, and she's like, I can't give. He couldn't give me information on what he did, but he did say the officer would be suspended for abusing his rights and this and that. So all in all, karma came around and got that officer, and my insurance went down, and that's when she told me hers went up. And she was like, oh, did your insurance go up at all? I was like, actually, it went down, $10-15. And she's like, oh, well, that's good. I was like, what happened to yours? She was like, it went up about 100.
Wait, Montana, I thought you said that they dropped your insurance and she started freaking out. Isn't that how that was?
I thought that's what they were gonna do. I thought they were gonna drop my insurance, because I was like, well, shit. I was like, I can't afford them to drop my insurance. And that's why I thought I was getting that call, because that was who told me my insurance company went down. And I was like, I was freaking out. I can't tell my parents I lost, my insurance company. So I finally, when they finally got a hold of me, they're like, no.
Your mic cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Hold on, let me check now.
All I heard was they called.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I heard everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you fine.
Oh god, now I'm on fire. But yeah, so
Maybe it's my batteries.
it could be. But
Okay, I'm sorry.
But yes, I was freaking out, because my insurance company was calling me, talking about insurance. I was like, you guys can't drop me. It wasn't my phone. No. What happened? Oh my god, that car just wrecked me. But yeah, so they were like, you're good, blah blah blah. So the insurance company put me not at fault under my insurance claim. So please put me out on private property, and please couldn't get any more proof of evidence. I mean, I can get my
Florida's a no-fault state, though. Where
Exactly.
or how?
Apparently, I was impeding. She was not impeding traffic because she didn't have a turn signal. I was like, well, there's multiple ways she could have gone. She didn't have her turn signal on. He goes, oh, so you think you're a cop? I was like, no, but I mean, I know what, what's right and what's wrong. I mean, he was just a complete. Did you guys just drive off without him, assholes?
Man got enough
We got a
room.
two-seater.
Yeah, that was my. I mean, I thought it was funny when I ripped the door off, but she didn't.
Yeah, it happens.
Gotta find a station wagon.
Whenever I was younger, I used to ride bikes all the time. And me and my buddies are out riding bikes. And I'm looking behind me, not paying no attention to where I'm going. Next thing I know is I'm on the hood of a fucking car. Because, again, wasn't paying attention and decided to just spinning in circles. The cop got my ass. And I'm just not paying attention. I just wind up on the hood of a fucking parked car. Parked car. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a bike, so nothing too crazy.
Good.
Where did Nemo go?
I got thrown out of the
car.
Oh.
Kobe.
Get in, damn it. You gonna shut your door?
Yes.
Okay. So, that was Talking Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed your stay, and I hope you come back for more. Alrighty. Bye.